Okay, so first, Arwa, I want to get one thing out of the way. We are not the same person.
No, we're not, and I get confused for you all the time. Which is like, it's pretty flattering, I have to say.
No, but also
okay with
we don't
it.
look anything alike. We don't sound alike. And I never understood why people constantly confuse me for you. Once at a gas station in Atlanta in like 2014, the gas station attendant said to me, "I love your work. You were just in Libya." And I was like, that wasn't me. I wasn't in Libya. It's okay. You're just being modest about it, but I love your work.
I used to get that when you were anchoring a lot. I used to get the, oh, I love your show. And I'm like, I don't have a show, but...
Is it the blonde Syrian thing?
Probably. It's the blonde, light-eyed.
The first time we met was for the Lebanon, the one of the many Israeli Hezbollah.
That came to Baghdad a couple times.
I came to Baghdad, and then when we really worked together, and I'm going to put up a picture of this, was when we were covering the beginning of the revolution in Syria in 2011. I don't know if you remember, but we decided to follow a lead and go try to find a campus protest. And so we had to, because we were so obviously followed by the secret police with their cheap synthetic suits,
standing in front of the hotel holding a newspaper
with holes in it practically. I mean, but they wanted you to know they were following you. Then we went into a museum. We went into like a bathroom in a museum and then ended up on this campus. But at the time, we didn't know how bad it would get.
I used to call them like squirt demonstrations because they would barely last for like 2 or 3 minutes before they would get broken up. So by the time we got to that demonstration, it had actually already happened and been broken up by the secret police and the mukhabarat. But like we had no idea. We had no idea, and also we had no idea how quickly it would get so bad.
Yeah, well, because eventually the Bashar al-Assad regime, really cracked down on the peaceful protesters, and it morphed into something terrible, like an armed resistance.
It did, and it was almost one of those things where the lie eventually became what was actually happening, and in some very, evil genius kind of way, it was a good strategy.
Well,
if you want to stay in power.
He let out a lot of criminals.
He let out a bunch of criminals. He let out a bunch of ex-Al-Qaeda guys who knew how to fight, who knew how to organize, who had plenty of experience fighting in Iraq. And he really clocked into the desperation of a people not wanting to just stand there and continuously get gunned down.
Yeah. But now when you see what's going on in Syria with the new government there, I wonder what your thoughts are, because you really covered in a much closer capacity than I did, because I was in an air-conditioned studio while you were crawling through tunnels to go to Homs, which frankly I was too scared to do.
It was scary.
So what do you think now when you see it?
It's hard to tell. Like, I remember when Ashada first took over, a couple of the first people I messaged were, part of the sort of Syrian feminist opposition. Because you would naturally think like they'd be the ones who'd be like, hell no.
Right.
And it was very interesting. They're like, look, we have to give this a chance. And the perspective was almost, we have to give this a chance. We'll deal with this right now because the most important thing is to rebuild the country, to rebuild the economy, to rebuild sort of the structures of everything that needs to happen, whether it's education or medical or, whatever.
Yeah.
And then if we need to deal with it being,
the new leadership.
The new leadership, but if the new leadership does in fact end up really trying to oppress women and take away women's rights.
Now, I will say, I was just in Syria a few weeks ago. I was not as optimistic as I would have wanted to be honest, because rebuilding a broken country with no economy, no banking system, education, half the country displaced or exiled, and these are leaders who don't have technocratic experience in leading a country. Are they accepting expert advice and training? Are they doing all those things? That's an open question.
What I did hear from some people was that to a certain degree, the upper echelon of the Syrian government, i.e. the ministers, the Shara appointees, are quite willing to get feedback from the cadre of Syrians that existed in exile and have gone back, because we can't forget that, you know, for the last, you know, 15 plus years, Syrians who were in exile weren't just sitting there. You know, they were very involved in advocacy and policy, in, you know, trying to sort of, and I used to think it was a lost cause. I used to be like, why are you bothering? Like, it's over, it's finished. But look at how wrong I was. But they were working on these things, right? So in a sense, I mean, yes, but is there enough of that? No, absolutely not. Of course not. And then you do see this sort of, which is so bizarre, but this default into old habits.
Oh, yeah.
And the old habits of the regime.
Oh, yes. I'm seeing some of that. I am seeing some of that. I keep my fingers crossed, because it's one of those, you have to have faith, otherwise you will see it as a lost cause, and I don't want to see it at all as that. I want to have some optimism.